welcome to another edition of Cadet Chat. So excited here to introduce two of our guests. We're going to talk about Model UN. We have Austin DeLorme, he's an 11th grader, and Olivia Kogel, who's in 10th grade. So we'll start out the questioning and welcome you to the show. Can you help our audience understand or learn a little bit more about Model UN if they're not familiar with that? And we can start out with Olivia and we'll work over to Austin to finish up the answer.
Right. So this is my first time at UN. I just went to my first conference in Syracuse. It was a very cool experience. Definitely, it's something you prepare for and then you go and it's totally what you don't expect. And it's just, you represent a country going in and you get topics to prepare for and you write a position sheet. And then going into it, you kind of just, it's a big debate on your topics. So I was in the tourism section and our topic was how poverty can help, or tourism can help poverty. Mm-hmm. And it was a very interesting thing to meet all these different countries, and we had a lot of new delegates in our committee, and it was very cool to kind of see how it was, and it's definitely a very interesting experience to be able to debate.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only are you're learning about different topics, but you're having to speak publicly with your peers and others. So
Right.
That's a real important skill too. I know a lot of students that sometimes don't feel comfortable speaking out in public. So that's definitely one too. So if I have this right, it's a recreation of the UN.
Yeah.
And what country were you?
I was India.
You were India. Now, does our school district, when we go as a team, do we each get a country, or are we one country? Austin, maybe you could tell me a little bit about that.
Well, it kind of depends on each conference, but in general, the school has one country, and then we get split into what we call committees. And these committees debate, like Olivia said, greater world issues based on what their scope is in Model UN. So it's really a great chance to get with like-minded individuals at the high school level, mm-hmm. and then expand a little more on some of these issues that are affecting not just the world, but also young people. A lot of young people have a lot of views on how these issues should be solved.
Absolutely. Have you ever been assigned an issue that you personally didn't support, but were in the position where you had to debate on the opposite side of the way that you felt?
Yeah, I think that's definitely been something a few times that you have to deal with, but again, it helps with your discipline. Mm-hmm. I think in being able to balance more your personal side of things, mm-hmm. and your professional side of things. And it really makes you a critical thinker too, because you have to think outside the box and not think, what would Austin DeLorme from Hilton, New York do, but mm-hmm. what would the delegation of India do mm-hmm. as a country? It's interesting.
Yeah, that's a great skill set, because I think often people are in positions where maybe their personal beliefs or are a little different than what the organization's thoughts or country in this situation's thoughts are, and having to be able to think for the entire group or facilitate with the entire group rather than just what you're thinking here. So what a great example. What are some of the tricks that you use to kind of keep yourself in the right mindset when you're doing that?
Well, I think you always have to keep a level head. Mm-hmm. And you also have to put, again, personal feelings mm-hmm. outside of the situation. Because as soon as you start thinking that someone is attacking you personally, mm-hmm. everything else rational goes out the window. Mm-hmm. So I think keeping a level head, being thorough in your research, and being nice to other people. I mean, Model UN is a good time to represent, as I said, such a professional thing, but it's also a great time to make friends. Mm. Meeting new people is, as part of any club, a great thing. That's part of Model UN.
That's great. One of the researchers I like to think about is Stephen Covey, and he always says, seek to understand before being understood. So being a good listener and hearing that information, even though you may see things a little differently, I think is important. And if you can do that in 10th and 11th grade, then sky's the limit for you guys. So Olivia, you said that this is your first kind of go with Model UN. How did you learn about it, and what made you decide to participate?
I learned about it. My friend Mary does it, and she has like talked about it roughly, and I also swim with her, so she would come and I'd ask her like, why are you late? And she'd be like, oh, I was at Model UN, and then she kind of informed me on what it was, and I've always been very interested in that kind of debate and research and writing, and when I learned more about it, it sounded right up my alley. So I decided to finally get a foot in the door with it and join, and I was able to go to the conference they were going to in Syracuse.
Awesome,
So.
great. Awesome. When did you first join, and how did you learn about it?
Well, actually, I've taken a more unorthodox approach. In 8th grade, I actually started. It's usually a high school club, but I remember in 8th grade, we got a bus to go to the middle school and bring me there every Thursday. And Miss Burke, our club advisor, she let me come to the Hilton conference actually early in 8th grade. And I got to go in and see what it was all about. And as soon as I walked in the room and saw the debate, I really knew that's what I wanted to do permanently as a club. And I've done it ever since.
So you started in 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's really cool. And you're in 11th grade right now. What are some of your most favorite memories or most meaningful experiences while you've been doing it, since you've been in it for 4 years?
I mean, definitely, again, making friends was an awesome part of it. I remember all of the people that I've debated with and that I've met throughout this journey, because when we have conferences like Rochester or Hilton, sometimes there's schools all the way from Buffalo to Syracuse that join in a place like Hilton, of all places, to come together and talk about these issues. So that, but also certain awards that I've earned throughout my time in Model UN. It's just so nice to see sometimes all the hard work that you've put into something finally pay off, and then enjoying it and making friends while doing it is the best part.
Yeah, that sounds great. In people who have similar interests, that's always nice too, and not just here in Hilton, but across the county and beyond, across the state. So what is it like being a part of the group, Olivia?
It's very fun. I definitely knew some people mutual joining it, but I definitely didn't know how cool of people they were. Like, Austin's great, and he also plays like trumpet with, genuinely with me, but I never really knew him. I always heard people talk and be like, oh my gosh, Austin's so cool. But I really never got to know him until we were in Model UN, and he helped me a lot with my first position paper, and another person in it is Sean. He's also a junior, and he is probably one of the smartest people I've ever met, but he is so fun and like laid back, but has tons of advice for you, and the teachers are just phenomenal too. Miss Burke definitely, and Mr. Ray is like the assistant director of it, and he's like crazy smart, and every time I need something explained for me about like the government or something, he can explain it where it's not dumbed down, but I can really understand it. So it's definitely an amazing group to be a part of.
So my guess is now when you watch world news, you have a different perspective. As you vet that information, you probably have a different perspective of what's happening. Or when a story comes up and it's in another part of the country, you're like, wow, I think I know why that is impacting the world the way that it is.
Yeah, definitely before I wasn't really staying with politics. It definitely was not one of my things. And that's why I was so lenient on joining Model UN for so long, but then I got into it and I really learned what it was. And it's very interesting because now I can look at politics and world news from a different view than I did before and really understand it.
Yeah, that's great. You know what I've loved is when I have attended your events, everybody's dressed up, everybody looks super professional, and it truly is. I know that there is, as you mentioned, your leaders, staff leaders that help you prepare, but what I was so impressed with is it's really a student-led type conference. So yes, you have assistance if necessary, but it really is an opportunity for you to develop your leadership skills.
You definitely see that with our presidents. I know Austin's one of them, and then Maya's the other one.
Yeah, I'm the vice president for the club, and Maya Delicato's our president.
Excellent.
And the help that they gave me going into my first conference was like phenomenal. And I never have been in a club where it's all the students are the ones who help you rather than, you know, the teachers.
Yeah, and that's how it's going to be as you go out into the world after your time at Hilton, and you're having those experiences early, so that's great. So, Olivia, you talked a little bit about some of the other activities you do. What are the activities you're involved with outside of Model UN?
I'm in a lot of stuff. I swim, I play the trumpet, the drum set, and I'm also in debate club at school.
Wow. How do you find the time to do all that?
I don't know.
You don't know? All
I
right.
definitely have always been in a lot of things ever since I was younger, so I've kind of always had that tasking of everything and able to find time and keep my grades up and everything. So.
Great, great. Austin, outside of Model UN, what are some interests of yours?
Well, I'm in many clubs at school. I'm in student council. I'm also the co-president of debate club. And I'm in NHS, and I also play trumpet with Olivia. But in the community, I like to volunteer a lot.
Okay. So I'll ask you the same question. How do you find the time to do all of that?
Sometimes, I will admit it is hard. It is a tricky balance, but I don't know. I think when you have a passion for something, you make time. You try to find those times in the day where you can just do something that you love.
Great. Well, what message do you have for people watching today about Model UN, Austin?
I would say if you're at the high school and you're a student, you should definitely check it out. As me and Olivia have experienced, we've met new friends, so many new people, and it's a great atmosphere to meet like-minded people that are in so many different events and activities. But if you're not in the high school, I'd say that you should try to just support us in some of our other things that we do, such as charity events or things that we do at Make a Difference Day.
Awesome. Olivia, what are your thoughts? Anything that you want to share with people watching around Model UN?
I think if you have that sense of just interest in history, in any kind of government, or even just debating, to really come and check us out. I think it can be a very lenient thing of not understanding, but I hope that this helps. And we have great advisors and great people in it, and we would welcome you with open arms. And we really would love to see more people.
Yeah, definitely. I'll start with Austin on this question because he's closer to completing his time at Hilton. And then you can think about your answer. So what's next? I know you have your senior year coming up, but big picture for Austin. What are you looking to do after high school?
I mean, after high school, I do want to continue down the political path. So I do want to go to school for political science or possibly law. And then further down the road, work in public policy. Or policy analysis, and then possibly run for office one day.
Great. Are you thinking about any colleges just quite yet, or are you still, is that a little early for you?
Well, two of the big ones are U of R or University of Buffalo, but still looking around.
Okay, great. All right, so Olivia, you've got a little more time, but time will go quickly. At least it does for adults, maybe not for students. So as you look, and maybe it's early for you, but as you look down the road, what's next for you after Hilton?
I'd really like to go to school for criminology and journalism of some sorts. And I think everything that I do, especially Model UN, has really prepared me for that public speaking, and definitely has shown me how to debate and be welcomed into another place, into more people. So,
just as you speak to that, you remind me of that you have to put yourself out there. Sometimes I don't think anyone is born being comfortable speaking in public, right? So taking these chances and risks and hopefully somewhat of a safe environment is neat that you're having the opportunity now here in Hilton rather than getting out into the world and then maybe doing it for the first time. So I certainly applaud you for having that courage. So Olivia, who's your inspiration and who has been your biggest influence to this point in your life and in your time here at Hilton?
I think my mom has definitely always been there for me through tough times, through keeping me in stuff. She put me in music when I was 3 months old. And ever since then, it's been a huge thing. She's definitely supported me in all my different things that I've done to find my true passion. So
great, awesome. Austin, same for you. What's inspiration or biggest influences in your life and also your time here at Hilton?
I would probably have to say my family. The same, my mother and also my grandparents. They've been huge supporters in all of my endeavors and everything that I do. And especially what Olivia said with my mother always pushing me to go out and try new things, don't quit because something's hard, push yourself and be better every day. So
That's great.
I've always had that message.
Thank you. It's great to have that support, and I'm proud of you guys for developing into the young adults that you are. Is there anything else as we close out our interview today that you'd like to share with me about Model UN? I'm going to start with Olivia.
To viewers, I guess we have our next meeting on February 3rd, and we are hoping to see new people there. There will be cookies and a fun kind of activity for you to see what we're like.
All right, great. Cookies should hopefully turn a lot
Yeah.
of people out, right? Austin, how about you as we close out? Anything else you'd like to share about Model UN?
I would just say that it's a great organization with great people. Again, if you're even slightly interested in joining or maybe not interested, you should definitely give it a look. And again, we do so many things in the community involving charity work too that we're really about education, community, but also people. So I think that's something very important that people need to understand about Model UN is we're really based around everybody.
Great, thank you. Well, I'd like to close out another episode of Cadet Chat. I would like to thank Olivia Kogel and Austin DeLorme for joining us today and helping the community learn more about a very important and awesome club that we have here in the district, and that's Model UN. Thank you very much. Have a great day.